things that go bump in the night. Me, Sam B. Shrunken head, broken legs.
Okay, Nick, we're going to do this real fast. You ready?
Yes, please.
Okay, listeners, did you like Dead Island? Did you totally want to play like 12 more hours of Dead Island? If the answer is yes, then buy this game. If the answer is no, then don't buy this game.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Reviewer! All right! Oh, if only it were that easy. Cool. Welcome, everybody, to the Loading Bar. We're going to talk about Dead Island Riptide, which is the the word expansion just doesn't mean what it used to, Nick. You know, I remember back in the old days when expansion meant like there was a $15, you paid like $10 to $15 in the store for a box, and it gave you some new discs. You had to have the original game and add it on. This, I don't know what it is, because it's not a sequel. It's not a remake. It's not really an expansion.
It's not a DLC, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's not really DLC. It's like super DLC, like $50 DLC that adds almost as much content as the first game, but you don't need it to play. But honestly, the way that we started out here is kind of really applicable to this game, because if you weren't a really big fan of Dead Island, I don't know that you have any business playing this.
Oh, no, you're going to hate it. Nothing's been changed. Nada.
But, well, I'll tell you what. Let's start at the beginning. It's a very good place to start. Okay, stop me, Nick, when I say something that doesn't sound familiar to you.
Okay.
A bunch of survivors are taken by the military, and there's a creepy scientist or corporation guy who may have some nefarious deeds, and they shipwreck on an island where there's a zombie outbreak, but the military may be at fault, and there may be a corporation doing some funky testing, and only these group of survivors can band together with other survivors to try to get off the island before the whole place gets nuclear bombed. I noticed that you didn't interrupt me at all there.
I'm just trying to remember. I think that's correct, yeah. I mean, like, wasn't really paying that much to the story in the original game.
No, I mean, I don't even think. I mean, I don't even want to harp on this as being just like a revisionist take on the original game plot.
I was actually trying to figure out whether you were telling the story for the first game or for this game, because it sounds the same, mate.
Well, no, it's not even. See, this is the thing. It's not even that the make quote fingers here, quotey fingers. The story for this game. It's not even that it's derivative of original Dead Island. It's derivative of every zombie story. Like, the military can't handle it. There's some weird corporate science going on, and the virus got out, and if we don't leave here, the whole place is going to be. I mean, like, this might as well be the zombie Mad Lib at this point, where you just write in. I mean, I feel like if you wrote Leon S. Kennedy and Albert Wesker, in there, like none of us would be like, oh yeah, that sounds like the plot to the next Resident Evil. Yeah, Resident Evil 7 takes place on a tropical island. Except for the one thing. There are some things going on in this story that would technically be spoilers that are a little bit different from some of those previous tropes. There's some stuff going on with the survivors and why they're survivors that are somewhat interesting. But just to put it in perspective, like, there's a point halfway through the game where there's like a big betrayal twist, and the game's like, dun dun dun, and I was like, well, yeah. It's just...
Yeah, I know. And I was resting my my head on my hand. I was like, well, I saw that coming from a mile off.
It's like, well, it's the beginning of the third act. Come on, game. Like, I was actually surprised that when they started the third act that it wasn't like the twist didn't happen right away. And I was like, well, where's the twist? Where's the which one of these guys is going to betray us? Because obviously it's going to be that one or that one. And then, oh yeah, it totally turned out to be one of those guys. So, yeah, I mean, I guess for anybody who hasn't played Dead Island is kind of a first-person Skyrim meets Left 4 Dead, open world, RPG, killing zombies. It's kind of mishmash. I mean, it plays a lot like Skyrim. If Skyrim took place on on an island full of zombies. But it's got some RPG elements in it where you're leveling up skills. You got 3 separate trees that you can level up. You've got kind of an overdrive thing, but it's also got guns, some interesting weapons, projectiles, and thrown weapons and things like that. And what you end up with is something that, when the original Dead Island came out, was kind of cool and interesting. It was kind of something that, while the elements had been all there in other games, we maybe hadn't seen all put together just in this particular fashion before.
But it's been 2 years now, and it's done the exact same things as the first one did, so it hasn't really expanded on that, even though it's supposed to be an expansion.
Yeah. I mean, they've actually done some things. I don't remember whether this was in the first game, but I don't actually remember it being there, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but there have these missions in the game where you have to fight kind of like a horde mode style, like zombies keep coming at your location. You have to defend it with a bunch of your allies until this little meter runs down. And I don't remember that being in the first game, but that's not something to like hold up and say, look, we have this new type of mission where it's irritating and the people that you're fighting with don't know how to fight zombies anymore for some reason. And they'll get into a grapple with a zombie and then sit there until they die or you come rescue them from being attacked by zombies.
Yeah, if you're not playing cooperatively, this could be a really boring experience. And I love the fact that your character you play bitches every now and again saying, why am I doing this all by myself? I'm like, that is a good point, but the fact that you're pointing it out does not make me feel better about the situation. It gets me more annoyed.
Yeah, whenever the character said that, it seemed like whenever you loaded into a new area, I played the Perna, the ranged weapons expert, that she would say like, well, why am I doing this all by myself? And I was just like, shut up is why. Because I play it online with other people and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. So we're doing fine. Just fucking chill out, okay? But yeah, in case you guys are wondering, you have all of the 4 characters from the original Dead Island. Football player Logan Carter, rapper Sam B, Hong Kong police officer Jian Mei, and Australian bodyguard Perna, as well as one new playable character, John Morgan, an ex-military guy that has kind of a weird skill set. We kind of looked at him briefly in the happy hour for this.
It's kind of like more balanced, I think, between like fighting style and range style.
Yeah, most of the other characters kind of specialize in one or the other, whereas he seemed to be a little bit more jack of all trades. I don't know. I played through the game as Perna because last time I played Dead Island, I was like, there's a tooltip on the loading screen that comes up from time to time that says, ammunition is precious, don't waste it. And I was like, the fuck it is.
I'm like, what ammunition? Especially when you first start playing this game, all you're doing is like picking up like crappy knife cleavers and stuff or baseball bats.
Yep.
It's not until way later that you get guns.
Yeah, well, it doesn't take all that long. I mean, it takes actually one of the tweaks for this particular game is it takes quite a bit less time to get access to ammo and firearms than it does in the previous game. So, yeah, when I first started playing, if you can import your character from the previous Dead Island and you bring all your character levels with you, or if you start a brand new character in the game, it starts you off at level 16, which is kind of strange. If you play a ranged character, if you want to use guns or whatever, you maybe have about 3 or 4 hours worth of the game that you just have to truck through using really ineffective hand-to-hand combat. But the thing is that since I played the game from a low level, that combat was fairly straightforward and simplistic. So by the time the enemies started getting really nasty, I already had a shotgun and a machine gun and some stuff like that. And that definitely, that honestly made this game more enjoyable for me. Like, when I first started and I was playing the hand-to-hand combat in this game, I was like, oh, baby, you have not aged well. This is not as fun as it was the first time around. But once I had access to, shotguns that shoot fire and machine guns that shoot electric bullets and crazy amounts of grenades and bombs and shit like that, I found it to be fairly fun. I think there's still quite a few problems in here, but, like we said at the beginning, it's really just going to come down to a lot of how much of a jolly do you still get when you blow a zombie's head off? And if the answer to that question is you still find that shit real satisfying, there's probably a fair amount in this game for you. I don't know. Nick, you seem to have much poorer experience than I did, so why don't you talk about your experience with the game?
Well, to be honest, I still have faith in the zombie genre. Like, I'm praying one day for there to be a good zombie game, but this wasn't it for me. I think it's games like this that are just keeping the zombie genre down. Like, this game is very tedious, it's very repetitive. I mean, the combat, I mean, like, there's one thing I think...
Are you saying that Dead Island is the man? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes, it is the man. That's why, yeah, I'll stick to that. I mean, like, I feel quite bad about this, but like this game, I think we can both agree on prides itself on being a combat game. Like it has no story. The characters are written poorly, like some terrible dialogue in there. It's the action that you want in this game. I just find it like very repetitive, where you're going up to a zombie and I'll find myself doing the same motions again and again. I'll kick him down until he's lying on his back, and then I smash him on the face or kick him in the face, and you do it again and again. And I find myself trying to avoid zombies, not because I'm scared of them, because I don't want to go through like 3 minutes of boring fighting. I just literally wanted to get to the end of the game as quickly as I could, just in time for this review. I mean, there was nothing in it for me whatsoever.
I mean, I can kind of relate to that. Like I said, I found that because I was using I can't stress this enough, because I was using guns in the game, that I was able to keep a lot of the zombie nonsense at a distance, which made all of the combat. It was actually interesting because it was more fun as a power fantasy, but it was less challenging than it was the first time around, because the game still has that what I consider to be completely terrible level scaling, where
absolutely, yeah,
the more powerful you get, the more powerful your basic rank and file zombie gets, to the point where, you know, when you hit level 60...
Bullshit, Jeff. That can't be canon. I fucking hate that system. That's not fair, man. That's the whole point of leveling up, is you could be a badass at the end of the game. What's the fun of it if your enemies level up with you?
Hey, amen and hallelujah, Nick Hodges, because I've been saying that for years. It's one of the reasons that I never played Oblivion, because I heard that they had level scaling. It's one of the reasons I can't stand... Well... Oh, God. Every time we do one of these, I got to shove my game foot in my game mouth. So the problems I have with Final Fantasy VIII, even though people love the story, I've never been able to get into it, because part of the fun of playing an RPG is, you know, if I put, like, 12 to 15 to 20 hours worth of work into making my character more powerful, I want to feel more powerful. Like, it should be up to the game to be scaling the challenge, not just by artificially inflating the hit points and the damage of your basic enemies in the game, but in presenting new challenges over the course of the game that are tailored to the progression of the level of the character, to the point where places that were really hard early in the game should be super fucking easy later on, and places that were impossible earlier in the game should be doable once you've made yourself more powerful. And just like Dead Island, you know, I actually played New Game Plus on this the other day, because I was just sitting around going, oh, I decided to play it like from the beginning again. And you know, it's a thing that would actually, to me, it's a drawback that would keep you from playing the game over and over again, because you put all this time into this one character, but then you get to the point where any single zombie in the entire game can kill you in like 2 hits. And you know, I don't like to shy away from challenge, Nick. I like myself some challenge and everything. But like in this game, I can't remember if these zombies were in the last game. I think they were. Some of the zombies will be holding like a melee weapon, and they will kind of wind up and throw that weapon at you. And, you know, when you get above about level 45 to 50, that just straight kills you. So you'll just be fighting zombies and see some zombie doing something way over on the other side of the screen, and then, bleh, you're dead. And you're just like, what? But I'm level bajillion, and I've got a fire shotgun.
You're like, hey, wait a minute, this is not cool.
Yeah, you're throwing a chunk of rebar at me, and you're taking all billion hit points that I have off with one. So, but there are a few new things in this game outside of just the things we've already mentioned. Let's see, the level limitations between co-op have been removed, so you can join anybody's co-op game, and the co-op is actually pretty cool. And then it just comes up and says like, "Hey, this person is near where you are. Do you want to join their game?" And you go, "Yeah, sure," and it just loads you in. And when you
people just join you randomly as well. I had no idea that I was even online, and then I saw like 2 or 3 guys just join my party. I was like, oh, cool, okay, yeah, join me, guys.
Yeah, I did that. I felt really bad on earlier this week when I joined somebody's game, and they were really low level, and I was playing the New Game Plus and all the pimped out firearms. So they would be running up with a baseball bat, and I'd just be like, oh, no, hold on. Bam, 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 bam. Everybody's dead. Like, all right, cool, let's go.
You know what I would do is if we were fighting like against a huge horde, I'd just put my character at the back of the room and I'd just have a cigarette and just watch them do all the fighting for me. I was like, oh, cheers, guys, you're doing great. Yeah, keep going.
Well, it's interesting though because the way that it seems like they've balanced this is that if you're level 15, like you're the equivalent of level 1, and you have a level 50 person and you join their game, that it basically like splits the difference in the zombies and makes some of them very, very high level, and some of them it kind of puts the zombies at a place that will be very challenging for you and maybe challenging for the other person. I'm not exactly sure what they do. I played one time with somebody who was much higher level than I was, and I didn't honestly see that much of a difference in the fighting. Like, I don't know if it was just because we weren't super far apart as far as levels go, but it seems like it works a little bit better maybe than it did in the first game. There's also an issue here where if the person who started your game drops out, that it's a little bit more elegant about, like, if you have like 3 people, say you were playing a game and 2 people joined your game, and then you dropped out, is that same game would continue going with those 2 people seamlessly. It wouldn't have to load or anything. There's a few new different types of zombies in here. You've got these water zombies called drowners, grenadiers, that obviously what they do, wrestlers that have a big giant hand, these mutated scientists that you run into a couple times in the game, and then my personal least favorite, which is a zombie called the Screamer, which whenever they scream, you can't attack, and you put your hands up and go, ah. But just like Dead Island, all of these things, especially the Screamer has like this head brace, and the eyes have been pinned open, and they're in like a hospital gown or something. And just like the Chargers in the original game, you're like, who's doing this to these zombies? Like, who's making these things into super weapons? Because, they're only doing it to like 1 out of every 100 people in the group. And, you understand, all right, zombie convention's the big fat guy, he spits acid at you. Whatever, that's fine. But, like, why do some of these guys, why have they been all pimped out Hellraiser style to become bosses for you to attack? Like, I don't know. It just never made any sense to me, and it still doesn't make any sense. Whatever.
Oh, so, man, this is like a B-movie game, or actually more like a C-movie. Like there's no rationale to this whatsoever. Like, it's just about the fighting. And
yeah.
So, I mean, like, what did you think of the mission types in this game?
Pretty bad. I mean, no, some of them were not so bad. A lot of them involved another thing that I don't know. I don't think it was in the original game. These areas called dead zones, where they would send you into an area that had like a bunch of. A lot of times they were the same area repeated over and over again, where you would find a bunch of zombies milling around, and then kind of like a boss zombie that was like one of the bigger ones with usually a little bit more health, and there was better equipment in there, so. You would do that. Those were fine. It was just fetch and, go pick something up
fetch
and bring
quests.
it back. Yeah.
I mean, like, it just seemed to me that I think every single mission was a fetch quest. You get fetch quests, and fetch quests within fetch quests. I'm just like, fuck you. I wanted to kill every human I saw. Just like, yes, I will give you that map, but you have to get some medicine for me. I was like, why? What's stopping me from cutting your throat and just picking it from your pocket right now? I'm not going to see you again. It's like, why can't I do that in an RPG, please?
Because then you'd be playing DayZ. But no, I mean, I think that, in all honesty, those quests are so goddamn optional, and once you see that the levels of the game are scaled to whatever level your character is at, like, if you want to burn from the beginning to the end of this game without doing any of the subquests, which I did the first time around, it's about 8, 9 hours, maybe 10, depending on how quickly you tear through some of the quests. And because the game scales to your difficulty, there's no good reason to do these side quests, because all it does, it gives you more like modifications. The whole crafting system is still there. You create electric baseball bats and stupid shit like that. But there's no reason to do those side quests because it just makes the game harder. But to be honest, I found that most of them were tolerable. They were just go here, hit this button, go back. standard video game side quests, but there were a couple where you would have to actually carry like a thing, like a gas can or a turret or a motor or something around, and those were the worst because when you're carrying those things, you can't attack zombies, so you have to throw this motor down on the ground and get your weapon out and kill the zombies, and then pick it back up and walk 10 more feet till they spawn more zombies, and throw it and do it again. I don't know. I mean, we've been talking around the core problem the entire time here, Nick, and here's what it is for me. I had some fun with this game. Like, once it had a rocky start, but once I understood what they wanted, and once I got the weapons that I wanted to be able to feel like I was empowered in the world and wasn't just constantly getting my ass kicked by every zombie that I ran across, I had fun. This is not better than the first game. The first game had the resort section, which was kind of unique, whereas this just has a jungle / resortish kind of town and then a city level. And the previous game had a city level, a jungle level, the prison level, and then the island resort. So this has like kind of two of the environments that you saw that have been kind of remixed a little bit. But the main thing is that I had some fun with this game. I had some fun blowing zombies away with my shotgun. You sound like you had next to zero fun with this game.
Oh God, you know what? I'm embarrassed to say, but I think I had more fun playing Walking Dead Survival Instinct than I had playing this game. And that was not an easy thing to say, I have to admit.
Well, there's a case to be made for that. Walking Dead Survival Instinct is a little bit more focused in what it wants you to do. And it also has, like, the thing about Dead Island Riptide that's similar to Dead Island is that Dead Island, they keep spawning zombies pretty much forever. Like, there's no way to liberate an area and keep it kind of clear of the undead. Like, you walk by something, you turn back around, and there's a zombie there where there was the ones that I just killed. So there's so many enemies in this game that it kind of suffers from overload. Is that you're going through the motions. You're not, in a life or death struggle every time you run into one of these zombies. You're just, okay, look, another zombie. Let me kick it. Let me hit it in the head. Now it's dead. Oh, look, another mob. I'll throw a grenade, shoot these two guys, ba-boom. And there's a certain amount, like, for me, there was a certain amount of mindless fun in that, but you apparently did not have that same amount of mindless fun.
I'm all about the story and character development, and if you're not going to give me that, you better give me, like, one hell of a fun ride. Otherwise, I'm just going to be falling asleep in my chair. I did not know you could play a game with your eyes closed, but I found a way with this.
Well, I tell you what, I don't really know if there's anything else. I mean, I guess the game is kind of buggy. Like, it's pretty, like, there were a few times where zombies would get caught in stuff, or I would get caught in level geometry. I think it crashed on me once. There were some frame rate issues. I played on the Xbox 360. I had some frame rate issues inside one of the later levels, and I'm not sure whether that was Xbox only thing or whatever. Nick, bugs, did you see?
Actually, that's a good thing I've got to say about this game. I didn't really have that many issues. I think, when you load a new level, it does take like a good 5-6 seconds for all the textures to pop in, but that doesn't bother me as long as it stays in place. It doesn't keep popping up and down. The bugs in place, actually, to be honest, the bugs kind of helped me, because whenever a zombie was coming towards me and he was like on a bridge, I'd just kick him and he would kind of get stuck into the wall, so I wouldn't have to get off my lazy ass and kill him. So I was quite happy with the bugs in this case.
Use those exploits, Nick. Use them. We'll be very clear about this. This game looks just as generic as the original Dead Island. It's, there's some nice points, waterfalls, you get jungles. It's all very competently done. None of it's going to make you gasp. None of it's going to make you go, "Oh, holy shit, that looks beautiful." It's very, very just kind of rote. I mean, it's like they bought. It pretty much just looks like they used the exact same engine from the first game and just rearranged some of the environmental geometry to make it look like this. It's functional, but it's not going to wow you as far as graphics go. And as far as sound, it's very, very standard, except for one thing, which is if I have to hear that "Who Do You Voodoo Bitch" song again, I swear to God, I'm going to take the disc out, snap it in half, Nick. The one-hit wonder that Sam B had in the first game. Any excuse they can use to put that on a radio. Ugh.
I like the sound effects in this game. I'll say that. Like when you crush a zombie's head, and that's just like wonderful to hear. But that's about it. No.
Well, I tell you what. Why don't we do some rating? Why don't we give this thing a rating?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. I'm gonna give this game. I'm gonna give this game a straight up bargain bin. At this point, you've heard what we have to say about the game, and like, it's not broken. It's not unplayable. It's not even a bad game. It's just kind of more of the same. And by the time I got to the end of Dead Island, the last thing that I was really looking to do was to continue to play more Dead Island. But if you're the kind of person who really enjoyed Dead Island, or it's been long enough, you played it one time, you maybe want to go back. You see, the thing is that Deep Silver, they want $50 for this game, and $50 is too much. I could see paying 30 or 40, maybe like 35 on a Steam sale or on a sale or something like that. But this, even though it's 12 hours, unless you have a serious mat-on for Dead Island, it is not worth a full $50. So I'm going to give it a bargain bin and leave it at that.
Yes, and I'm also ashamed to say that Jeff has informed me that in my previous Dead Island review, I gave the previous game a low full price, and I actually wish I could go back in time and change that, but I can't. But they've actually seen to give me another chance with this game. So I'm going to give this some more bullshit, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to be courageous and just do it. I mean, like, I'm not going to lie to myself. If I didn't enjoy it and if I was bored, this game was doing something wrong, and I have no wish to ever return to it. And especially with how it's been 2 years since the previous Dead Island game and nothing's been changed, that's kind of out of order, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally understand that. So I guess the question now is, what zombie Mad Libs are they going to use for the next Dead Island game? I'm taking all bets here, Nick. Will it be set in a shopping mall? What do you think? Set in a shopping mall?
Shopping mall, cabin in the woods. What we're gonna have?
Is it a British military base?
Yes, that's it.
British military base. All right, we got it. We got our eye on you, Techland. You got one more shot at this, or else we're out of here.
On a tropical island, underneath a molten lava moon, hanging with the hula dancers, asking questions 'cause they got all the answers. Putting on lotion, sitting by the ocean, rubbing it on my body, rubbing it on my body. Get me out of this cave, 'cause it's nothing but a gladiator grave.